As a freelancer, do you know what you do and who you do it for? That seems to be a basic question, but you might be surprised at how difficult it can be to answer that simple question. Hi, I'm Jason Scott Montoya. I wrote a book called Path of the Freelancer. It's an actionable guide on how to flourish as a freelancer. There are 8 achievements of a successful freelancer that freelancers sustain in order to continue to flourish as a freelancer. In my first video, I went through the 8 achievements. I surveyed all 8 of them, so you can check out that video if you want to dive in. In the first video, we talked about the most important foundational piece of freelancing, which is being fully committed to freelancing. And so in this video, we're going to talk about the second achievement. The second achievement is your offerings are in a compelling package. So the solution you offer is clear and presented, and it's packaged in a way that is compelling to your prospect. As we shift from the first achievement to the second achievement, the first achievement is very unique in its distinct foundational aspect, but also how I've structured it in the book as well. So in the book, I have these 8 achievements, and achievements 2 through 8 each have 4 checkpoints. And these 4 checkpoints are essentially 4 parts of the pie, 4 pieces of the puzzle for each of the 7 achievements that are not the first one. And so I'm going to, in this video, talk about the second achievement and also just quickly and briefly share with you the 4 checkpoints that make up that achievement. But before I go into that, I want to just talk about the shift from this first achievement, being fully committed to freelancing, and this second achievement, which is our offerings are in a compelling package. And this is really a shift from strategy to action. So in that first achievement is really where we're identifying our vision, our mission, our values, and our strategy. We're identifying how we're going to go about freelancing from the foundation of which we want to operate, what it is we're trying to accomplish, what's that vision look like, what are the values that are going to protect us and direct us as we go through this freelancing journey. Now the rest of the book is very actionable. That's why this subtitle is An Actionable Guide to Flourishing in Freelancing. I really try to make this book designed in such a way that it's very practical tips that you can just take and apply. And really, you don't even have to read the whole book. You can go right to the part that you're facing as a freelancer where you're struggling and going, oh, I need this, I need that. You can go right to it, get the tips, and improve your freelancing immediately. And you don't even have to read the whole book. And so that's how I designed Path of the Freelancer, is really as a book that you can flip through to the problem you're having and then actually solve it. We're going to talk about the second achievement, which is offerings in a compelling package. To get us started, I'm going to just read this first passage here. One of the most difficult tasks is selling our services without knowing what they are. When I first started freelancing, I remember how difficult this was. I had a great start because our company's legacy had people assume things about my capabilities. They then proceeded to ask me if I could help them with their problems. Fortunately, I was equipped to handle most of their requests. While I was confident in fulfilling the services, how would I charge for them? How would I service these new freelancing clients? I didn't have answers to these questions beforehand, so I had to answer them on the fly. Thankfully, I had experience building systems quickly, so I was able to fully equip to the structure that I needed to succeed. But what does a freelancer do when they don't have that experience or ability to figure it out on the fly? Where do they go? That's where the power of the second achievement lies, and it starts with discovering how we'll compensate ourselves. So it might seem a little bit unintuitive that offerings in a compelling package starts with this idea of compensation, but really the idea is to figure out how much you want to make, how much you want to work, and then what type of client engagements you're going to need to be able to accomplish that. That first checkpoint of the second achievement is getting clear on your compensation. And I'm not going to dive into details in this video about this. You can check out the book if you want more of that. But the idea is to figure out, like I said, how much you want to earn and how many hours you want to work, and then work backwards towards a compensation plan that'll align with that. Now, I also talk about in this chapter the difference between charging hourly versus doing a fixed fee. You can also explore value-based pricing. I've done some of that and would like to do more of that as my freelancing journey continues. But I talk about the pros and cons of the different approaches, the risks, the rewards. And so there's a lot of ways you can approach this. I dive into that in the chapter, but those are the type of things you got to figure out in this checkpoint. The second checkpoint in this is called how and what we offer is defined. So I have a little graphic here. And when will we communicate? How will we invoice? What are the problems you fix? And what are the solutions you have that fix those problems? And getting clear on that, on what those are and then how to communicate them. And as part of that, it's also figuring out who is your client. Like, who is your ideal client? Who's your target audience? Who are you trying to serve? What type of company are they? What kind of person are they? What kind of role do they have? The other facet of this is understanding your own strengths, your own personality. What are the things you're good at as a freelancer? What's your experience? And putting all these pieces together to create an offering that's going to be worthwhile for you and for your clients. And this doesn't have to be something that's set in stone. This is something you can figure out and evolve. I mean, as I started freelancing and where I am now, it's a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. And things I don't do, things I've learned I don't want to do, things that I've done that I didn't expect to do that are pretty awesome. And so working through and figuring that out is part of the process. I also talk about a system that I use called the batch action management system. I do batches of hours, so I do bill hourly for most of my engagements. And as part of that, I do batches of 10 hours. And I talk about that why in the book and the benefits of that. There are different systems based on which model of pricing you decide to go with. There are different systems that you can create to help you get the most out of that opportunity and out of that system. In this chapter, I also talk about the 3 different types of ways you can differentiate. I talk about having a vision, having a unique story, doing hard things. These are the types of things that'll differentiate you as a freelancer. So the third checkpoint in this achievement is that our package is published. So what it is we do, who we do it for, and perhaps some about your process of how you do it would be something you publish. People don't know what you do or who you do it for if you don't tell them. And publishing on your website is a great first step. Putting it on your LinkedIn profile, putting it in your email signature, whatever place you have access to, whatever platform that you have, those are the places to start with. If you don't have them, then think about building them. And one of the things to think about when you're building them is to use those building projects as an excuse to work through some of these details. If you haven't done that, start a website project and let that be something that catapults you towards working out these things. So I have a client that I'm working with now, and that's exactly what we're doing is we're working through the contents of his offering, the problems he solves, the solutions he offers, and building him a website, which will give him a platform to continue to create content to share, but it also is a catalyst to work through some of the details of these things of which we need to work through. And then the last piece of that puzzle is our personal brand is promoted. And this is where we continue to create content online. We have a newsletter, we publish articles, we publish blog posts, we send out emails, we're active on social media. It has a variety of different applications, but we're actively engaging with our community, we're networking, we're sharing content, we're offering a helping hand, and we're promoting ourselves. As a freelancer, we got to promote ourselves. Now, as a freelancer, it's awesome that we only need a handful of clients to do really well, but we got to get those first few clients. So we're going to have to be more active on the front end, and then over time, we can pull back on some of that content creation and marketing based on the level of clientele that we want to get, the number of leads we want to generate, the amount of work we want to have, the amount of security we want, those types of factors, whether we want to do side projects. The answer to those dynamics will determine how much we do and how often we do it. But having something and doing something is going to be the starting point, and really it's going to be up to you to figure out what's the right fit, what's the correct amount. To wrap us up, we've got the first checkpoint was compensation set. Second checkpoint, how and what we offer is defined. Our third checkpoint, our package is published. And fourth, our brand is promoted. So those are the 4 checkpoints of the second achievement. Our offerings are packaged in a compelling way. As a freelancer, I just find it so helpful to know what I do and who I do it for, because it makes promoting myself and selling my services so much easier. If I didn't know, I don't have the confidence, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to ask. And this clarity is just hugely important. It's important to do it early on because it'll just give you a rocket boost of fuel to be able to succeed as a freelancer. In the next achievement, number 3, we're going to talk about building a steady stream of paying clients. And having this second achievement in place is really going to be critical to be able to do that well, so that all you have to do is focus on growing that steady stream, nurturing your prospects, closing deals, and taking care of those clients. So we're going to dive into that in the next video. In the meantime, you can check out Path of the Freelancer. You can grab a copy on Amazon. You can also check out pathofthefreelancer.com for additional resources, videos, tools, and other articles from freelancers to help you along your journey and to help you be successful as a freelancer. Whether you're considering freelancing, check out the book. This is a great book to help you figure out if freelancing is the path for you. If you are freelancing and it's not going well, there's probably some systems and processes you can put in place that'll be transformative for you and your freelancing. And then if you are freelancing and it's going okay, but you really want it to be flourishing, you really want that 6 figures, and you really want to be working part-time so that you can do other things with that time and with your money, then check out the book, check out the 8 achievements. There's perhaps a blind spot that you have that if you figure that piece out, it'll really transform your freelancing vocation in your freelancing journey. I'm Jason Scott Montoya, and I'll see you on the next video.
Are you a freelancer struggling to get clients and sustain an income? Check out Jason Montoya's book, Path of the Freelancer, where he provides the blueprint for mastering freelancing and sustaining a business of one. Start generating a six-figure freelancing income